I've traveled across Asia, from the neon-lit streets of Tokyo to the ancient temples of Thailand, from the chaos of Hanoi to the futuristic skylines of Seoul. I thought I had Asia figured out. I thought I understood its rhythm, its beauty, its energy. But I was wrong, because nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for the Philippines. I've been to over a dozen countries across this continent. Each one has taught me something. Each one has amazed me in its own way. But only one country left me truly speechless. Only one moved me so deeply that it changed the way I think about travel, wealth, and even what it means to be human. That country was the Philippines. When I first set out to travel Asia, my plan looked like most travelers' checklists. I wanted to see the big names, the icons, the places that appear on postcards and Instagram feeds. Japan was my first stop. And let me tell you, Japan is everything they say it is. Trains that arrive to the second. Streets so clean they sparkle. People so polite it feels like every interaction is a carefully choreographed performance. It was fascinating. I was in awe of the discipline, the order, the quiet respect built into daily life. But there was also something I couldn't shake, a feeling of distance. It was beautiful, yes, but I always felt like I was on the outside looking in, like I was watching a perfect performance from behind a velvet rope, admiring it, but never truly part of it. Next was Thailand. And Thailand, well, it's electric. The golden temples shine like fire under the sun. The islands look like something pulled straight out of a dream. I partied until dawn on the beaches, swam in crystal-clear waters, and ate dishes so spicy they brought tears to my eyes. It was everything the brochures promised, vibrant, exciting, unforgettable. But it also felt transactional. Every smile seemed tied to a price tag. Every experience felt designed for tourists like me. Don't get me wrong, I loved it. But deep down, I knew I was just another customer passing through. Then came Vietnam. If Thailand was polished, Vietnam was raw. The streets of Hanoi buzzed with motorbikes in every direction, like a river of chaos somehow flowing in order. The food was incredible. Pho, banh mi, spring rolls that put anything back home to shame. The people were resilient, their history etched into every building and every face. I loved the energy, the grit, the unfiltered reality of it. But again, the language barrier kept me at arm's length. Most conversations were reduced to smiles, gestures, and fumbling with translation apps. I collected snapshots, but the deeper connection I was craving always felt just out of reach. This pattern repeated itself everywhere I went. South Korea dazzled me with its cutting-edge technology and pop culture. Malaysia showed me its melting pot of cultures, religions, and foods. Singapore amazed me with its efficiency, its gleaming skyline, its sense of futuristic order. Everywhere I traveled, I saw beauty, but I also felt a subtle loneliness. I was moving, constantly moving, but always as an observer. I was experiencing Asia, but I wasn't truly feeling it. My soul was still hungry. And then, almost on a whim, I booked a ticket to the Philippines. I didn't know much about it beyond the beaches of Boracay and the lagoons of Palawan. To be honest, it wasn't at the top of my list, but something inside me said, go. And so, I went. The second I stepped off the plane in Manila, I knew this country was different. The air was thick, hot, and heavy, filled with the smell of grilled street food. The sounds were overwhelming. Jeepneys honking, vendors shouting, laughter spilling into the streets. My instinct, after months of travel, was to brace myself. Big cities usually meant being on guard, watching for scams, clutching my bag, preparing to say no to aggressive taxi drivers. But then something unexpected happened. People smiled at me. Not the polite, distant smiles I'd seen elsewhere. These were real smiles, the kind that reached their eyes, the kind that said, "We're glad you're here." My first taxi driver was the shock that cracked everything open. He didn't just run the meter or try to sell me on tours. Instead, he looked at me in the rearview mirror, smiled, and asked, "Are you hungry?" Not, "Where are you going?" Not, "Do you have money?" Just a simple question of concern. I said yes, and for the next 30 minutes, we talked, not about attractions or shopping malls, but about his family, his dreams, his struggles. When I tried to tip him generously at the end, he refused. He shook my hand and said, "Enjoy my country. I hope we make you happy." That single moment disarmed me completely. For the first time in my travels, I didn't feel like a customer. I felt like a guest. The days that followed were a cascade of similar moments. I stopped at a tiny sari-sari store for water, and the elderly woman behind the counter slipped a banana into my bag with a smile, saying, "For you, welcome." I joined a boat tour in Palawan, and after a full day of exploring hidden lagoons and secret beaches, the boatman refused a big tip, placing his hand on his heart instead. "Your prayer for me and my family is enough," he said. I was stunned. In a world where everything seemed to have a price, here were people who gave freely. This wasn't just hospitality, it was something deeper. It was a way of life. I began to notice that joy here didn't wait for perfect conditions. It wasn't scheduled or purchased. It was created, every single day, out of what people had. Kids played basketball with a hoop made from scrap wood, their laughter echoing louder than any theme park. Families invited me into their homes for meals, making sure the guest had the biggest portion. At night, entire streets came alive with karaoke, neighbors singing at the top of their lungs, not because it was a holiday, but simply because life was worth celebrating. I'll never forget one evening when the power went out in a small town. Back home, a blackout would have meant frustration. Here, within minutes, someone brought out a guitar. Candles flickered to life. Soon the entire neighborhood was outside, singing together under the stars. The darkness had become a party. And that's when it hit me. Maybe joy isn't something we chase. Maybe it's something we choose, right here, right now. The more I traveled, the more the Philippines revealed itself to me. And the truth is, this country defies any simple description. It's not just beaches and palm trees. It's a land of extremes, of surprises, of stories etched into every island. In the north, the rolling green hills of Batanes looked more like Ireland than Southeast Asia. In Banaue, I stood before 2,000-year-old rice terraces carved by hand, a living monument to resilience and patience. On Camiguin, I found an island with more volcanoes than towns. In Siquijor, known for its mystical folklore, I didn't find witchcraft. I found waterfalls, warmth, and some of the kindest people I'd ever met. Each island was like stepping into a completely different world. But beyond the landscapes, it was always the people that shocked me the most. Everywhere I went, I was welcomed not as a stranger, but as family. Grandmothers called me anak, my child. Market vendors treated me like a nephew. Students chatted with me about their dreams, speaking fluent English with confidence and ease. For the first time in my travels through Asia, the language barrier was gone. I could have real conversations, not just transactions. I could listen to people's stories, their hopes, their lives. And that changed everything. One moment still stays with me. On my last day in a village, the family I had stayed near walked me to the bus stop. The grandmother hugged me tightly, tears in her eyes, and said, "You have a home here now. You will come back." I felt my throat tighten. I had come to the Philippines a tourist, but I was leaving as family. Before I arrived, my image of the Philippines was beaches, islands, and resorts. But what I discovered was something far deeper. A place where wealth isn't measured in money, but in relationships. where strength isn't about skyscrapers, but about families standing shoulder to shoulder, where happiness doesn't come from having everything, but from making the most of what you have. The Philippines shocked me because it redefined what it means to be rich. I had been to countries with bigger economies, faster trains, taller buildings, but none of them touched me the way this country did. Here I learned that home isn't a place. It's a feeling. It's being seen, welcomed, and loved. I learned that joy isn't a destination. It's a choice we make moment by moment. And I learned that the most valuable currency on earth isn't money, it's human connection. They say it's more fun in the Philippines. And yes, it is fun. More fun than I ever imagined. But it's also more than that. It's more human in the Philippines. And once you've felt that, you're never the same again. Thank you, Philippines. Or as you say here, salamat.